Sleeper nerfs, Gambit changes, a big meatball boss, and a sneak peek at not one, but 2 incoming updates. Ooh, it is going to be a meaty one, Guardians. What's going on? My name is The Black Link, and today is October 4th, 2018. Can you believe we're already into October? Time is flying by, and before you know it, Festival of the Cost is going to be right around the corner. But of course, today is a Thursday, and that means we've got another issue of the Bungie Weekly Blog, This Week at Bungie. And in this video, we're going to be covering some of the most important bits of information that have dropped from this week's Bungie blog. So let's go ahead and jump on into it. They start this one out pretty big. Many of you out there have been hunting for the Malfeasance quest inside the Gambit game mode, and you might have noticed that getting the boss to spawn is a little bit frustrating. If you've been lucky enough to actually get the boss to spawn and even complete the quest, you know that in order to get the Gambit Sparrow and the ship, you've got to fight that boss 2 more times. Good luck with that. Thankfully, we're getting a direct response from Bungie about the rarity of this boss overall. And in a section titled Malfeasance Acquisition, here's what they had to say. We've heard player feedback concerning the spawn rates of the Ascended Primeval servitor, and we are making adjustments to how frequently it will appear. During week 3 of the curse cycle, also known as a full curse week, the Ascended Primeval servitor will have almost the same chance to spawn as any other primeval. We will also be increasing the chance for the boss to spawn during lesser curse weeks, but it will still be lower than during a full curse week. For full transparency here, since the Ascended Primeval servitor spawn rate will increase significantly when these changes are released, we are now tweaking how ship and sparrow rewards drop from the boss. Vanity items are no longer guaranteed drops for subsequent boss kills after you earn the quest. Instead, the vanity items will now only have a chance to drop. Now this right here is a massive change. One of the biggest bits of criticism over the past week, really since the Malfeasance quest has dropped, has of course been the RNG nature of getting the boss to spawn. Last week, during the full cursed week, you guys saw how rare that boss was. I had about maybe 2 to 3 hours of Gambit throughout the entire week. I was not farming for that thing. But I did not see the boss once. There were other people who played the game for 12 hours straight. You know, our boy Nim plays right here on the channel. So it took about 14 hours before he could get his first spawn, if I recall correctly. There are some people who are still trying to get it, and that was during a week when the spawn rate was supposed to be higher than other weeks. So I'm very glad that they're going to be changing the way this works. I love the change here. So basically during the full curse week, so in another 3 weeks, not right now, but in another 3 weeks from now, or 4 weeks from now, when the full curse week happens again, the Ascended Primeval servitor is going to have the exact same spawn chance as any other primeval boss. That's a fantastic change. It's going to definitely cut down on the ridiculous RNG that players are currently facing, not to complete the quest, but just to get it to activate. And of course, while the spawn rate is going to be upped in other non-full curse weeks, it's still going to be less than the spawn rate during that full curse week, so it's getting a buff all across the board. Great to hear. Now additionally, we're also getting some extra quitter protection re-enabled within Gambit. This is going to be implemented to try to help with the extended load times that some players have been experiencing, and when that change is released, they're going to be re-enabling the quitter penalties for the Gambit playlist. Currently right now, you can quit from Gambit without incurring any sort of repercussion, or be kicked from the game, as a lot of us have been for the past couple of weeks. But when these changes go into effect, the quitter penalties are going to be coming back. However, they have increased the number of games players can leave before they're restricted from the playlist. They say that they're making this change to help mitigate some situations where bad internet connectivity results in a restriction. As somebody who's had the game crash several times while I'm playing Gambit, this is great news for me. It feels really bad to be locked out of an activity via no fault of your own. Now, after that, we're also getting some massive changes coming to the power weapon economy within Gambit. And yes, this is going to be about the Sleeper Simulant. We've got some power ammo crate changes. To help balance some weapons, we're changing the amount of ammo that you'll receive when opening an ammo crate with certain weapons equipped. First and foremost, the Sleeper Simulant. Ammo crates will only grant you 2 shots, down from the current 4. And for swords, the ammo crate will now grant 12 sword ammo, which is up from 6. So cutting the number of sleeper shots you get in half and doubling the number of sword ammo that you'll be getting from the power ammo crates. This is a great change. I love that they're addressing the Sleeper Simulant problem within Gambit right now, not by nerfing the damage of the Sleeper, but by taking other roundabout methods to kind of curb its usage within the game mode. Now, of course, you're still going to be able to get those random purple ammo brick drops from enemies within Gambit, especially if you've got heavy ammo finders stacked on your character. So in my opinion, this makes for a pretty good change. They're not knocking down the power of the weapon, they're just knocking down your access to it, but you can still kind of alter your build around it to get that ammo back. This tied in with the other reported changes of maybe knocking down the Sleeper's aim assist, maybe adding travel time and stuff to it, should help with how ridiculous that gun is in Gambit right now, because holy moly, it's clearly one of the best options, if not the best option for the game mode. And I'm super happy that swords are getting a buff here. Swords definitely need it in the PvE and PvP environment, and we're going to be learning a bit more about some sword buffs a little bit later on. And by that I mean, we've got some updates coming our way. Not one, but two updates coming within the month of October. The first of which, update 2.0.4, is scheduled for October 16th, 2018. This is going to be a pretty big one. And we've got an interesting sneak peek at the patch notes to go over. Here's what they have to say. In Update 2.0.4, they've added the ability to hover over lost sectors to see their name once a player has looted them. This is going to help you figure out which lost sectors you've done and which ones you haven't. Players will now be able to track up to 3 pursuits on their director. They've added Through Fire and Flood, the Zenobia D, and the Crooked Fang 4FR to the World Legendary pool. This basically means that we're going to have more heavy weapons that are available from every legendary drop source than just the Edge Transit. One of the reasons why the meme of the Edge Transit is so big right now is because it can drop from basically any source. So now maybe you'll get some more Crooked Fangs and a few less Edge Transits in the future. They're also increasing scout rifle damage in PvE against non-player enemies in Gambit, which is fantastic. We all know scout rifles definitely need a big buff when it comes to PvE. And it looks like that buff might be dropping as part of Update 2.0.4. And they're fixing a bug where prime engrams were going straight to the postmaster at the end of Crucible matches. They'll now show alongside other end of match rewards. Additionally, they've also added transmat effects to collections under the flare category, so you can pull those favorite transmat effects from your collection starting in Update 2.0.4 on October 16th. They go on to note that they've been tracking acquired transmat effects beginning from the launch of Forsaken back on September 4th. That's pretty much it for the biggest changes that are coming in Update 2.0.4. Next up, we're going to have Update 2.0.5 scheduled for October 30th, 2018. Now, as usual, the changes that are going to be listed in this one are in development, so they could change, but here's what's tentatively scheduled for the end of the month. They're going to be rebalancing the functionality of the distribution and dynamo perks, requiring players to be near opponents for super energy benefits. That sounds kind of familiar, kind of like an artifact of old. Interesting. Next, they're slightly increasing sword damage in PvE to address player feedback. Finally! This is something I've been waiting for a long time. You guys know I've been arguing for swords to be stronger in PvE and for them to have more ammo for a long time. And of course, with the Update 2.0 and with Forsaken and all that, swords got a big ammo buff. You know, a lot of swords can have in the upwards of 40 ammo. Way above what we could have back in Vanilla D2. I think that ammo number should be even higher. If you remember, with the right artifacts back in D1, you could have sword ammo in the 100s, like 101. It was nuts. So I'm very happy to see this damage buff in PvE. I would also still like to see another ammo buff for swords sometime in the future. Next, they're slightly increasing fusion rifle damage in PvE. They're increasing the viability of Malfeasance in PvE and Gambit activities. Going to be very interested in seeing how exactly they're going to quantify that in Update 2.0.5. Malfeasance is a very difficult to get weapon, mainly because of the RNG right now. But as a lot of people who have claimed the exotic hand cannon will tell you, including our buddy Nim Plays who did the review on the Planet Destiny channel, its abilities are a little bit underwhelming, especially when you compare it to some of the other exotics in the game. Not to say that it's not a good gun, it's just it could use a little bit of a buff, so I'm very happy to see it's going to be getting a buff in PvE and in Gambit activities. Excited for that. They're adjusting the visibility of the Titan's banner shield, making it easier for players to see through the effects, and they're adjusting exotic rewards to help reduce the number of duplicate drops. This was something that was brought up in last week's TWAB, and it's definitely something that's really important to a lot of players right now. Exotics are rare. They are extremely rare. Not a whole lot of drops of those going on, so it makes it really kind of a punch in the gut when you finally get that exotic drop. You see that golden engram fall to the ground and then you pick it up and it's like your 12th hard light. Very happy to see that some dupe protection is going to come. They do note that players may still receive duplicates, but there will be better chances for Forsaken exotics when receiving exotic rewards. The chance for a Nightfall unique reward to drop will increase each time a Nightfall is completed without a unique drop. I love this change. There's a lot of Guardians out there who are still hunting for like DFA and all kinds of Nightfall rewards out there. So implementing this change, making it so that the more Nightfall you complete without getting a reward, the better your drop chances get. I don't know if that's going to persist from week to week. It might reset at your weekly reset, but still, for those who are out there grinding for Nightfall gear, this is great news for you. Then after that, speaking of grinding, they're adding Masterwork cores as a requirement for specific Spider Wanted bounties and General Scrapper bounties. I'm not going to go on too big of a rant here. More sources of Masterwork cores is definitely a good thing. Next, they're reducing the time for single shader deletion from your inventory, and finally, they're developing a fix for an issue where a team will defeat the Ascended Primeval servitor in Gambit, but the opposing team will receive credit for the kill. Saw a couple of stories about that on the subreddit. Ooh, after waiting that long to get the boss to spawn, does not feel great. But alright Guardians, that is it for your preview of Destiny Update 2.0.5, scheduled again for October 30th, 2018. A lot of really good stuff listed in there, and I can't wait to see how some of it pans out. Now, there is one more thing to cover in this week's TWAB. It's October. We've got one very big event that usually drops during this month. The Festival of the Lost is indeed returning to Destiny 2. And within this week's TWAB, we actually got the drop date for when the event's going live. It's going to be dropping alongside Update 2.0.4 on October 16th. That's actually a little bit earlier than I thought it would be coming, but I'm super happy Festival of the Lost will be returning to Destiny 2 on October 16th. Can't wait to see what they're going to do this time around, if it's going to be masks or costumes or outfits or whatever it is they're going to do. Let's just hope it's not a revamp into Festival of the Cost like it has been in previous years. Alright Guardians, there is one last big news story to cover in this week's TWAB, and that is concerning the Prestige version of the Last Wish raid. And rather, that there is no Prestige version of the Last Wish raid. Within a section titled Wishes and Curses, the Bungie team talks a bit about their motivations for creating Last Wish and creating an in-game memorable experience that incorporates all kinds of hidden secrets and puzzles within the Dreaming City, rather than focusing on creating a normal version of a raid and then like a Prestige version of a raid. They go on and talk a bit about some of their goals for design when it came to The Last Wish, and their mindset for why there isn't going to be a Prestige or a hard version of The Last Wish raid, at least as of right now. So for any of you Guardians out there who are hoping for a new difficulty mode for the Last Wish raid, well, I do believe that's called Petra's Run, and it's the 13th wish on the Wishing Wall. But there won't be an official hard mode, at least as of right now. We'll be getting our next big bit of raid content, I do believe, within the annual pass content that is due out later this year. But alright Guardians, that is pretty much it for the biggest bits of news covered in this week's issue of the Bungie Weekly Blog, This Week at Bungie. A lot of interesting things are slated to happen here in the month of October. We've got two big updates coming. We've got Festival of the Lost starting in about 2 weeks. There's still plenty of things to do in the world of Destiny 2. That's everything we've got for you here tonight, and those are my thoughts. Be sure to leave me yours down in the comment section below. How do you feel about the Gambit Malfeasance boss change? Be sure to let me know how you Guardians feel down in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed the video, feel free to drop a like, make sure you subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest stuff we're putting out. But alright, that's going to be it for this one, Guardians. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, I am the Black Link. You Guardians, stay frosty.